We share the same birthday, actually, June 16th. He's 4 years younger than me, so he's in his 20s or something like that. And he became an international success with his second novel, The Truth About the Harry Gebert Affair, in Finnish Totuus Harry Gebertin tapauksesta. It has been translated into over 30 languages and published in over 45 countries. And his latest novel, Le Livre de Baltimore, has just come out in Finland with the name Baltimoren Sukuhaaran Tragedia. It has been translated by Kira Poutanen, who is also here present. Well, you must have been traveling quite a lot during the past few years to promote your books. How has it been? Is it like the life of the author that you had imagined, that this is what it's going to be like?
No, actually, and you know, it's quite different from what people can think about it. But more than that, I was absolutely not expecting the success of my book, and I was not expecting the travel that it will entail to me. And when I started to travel, I was in the beginning I was very excited because I thought it was just one shot. So I went to Paris and then to Milan, and then I thought it's going to be the end. And then there were another trip, and then there were another trip, and after 6 months I was like, wow, that's a lot. And after a year I was like, oh, that's very long. And after a year and a half I was, oh wow. And after 2 years I was like, oh my God, I need to stop that. So it's true that it's you know, a lot of people don't get why sometimes it's difficult for an author to travel. And I would say that the big difference between, for instance, touring for a musician or touring for a writer is a musician, when he's touring, he's doing his job, which means he's playing every night his music and he's creating and he's doing what he's made for. And I think we share the same thing, that when I travel, I cannot write because I need to be in my little office in Geneva and I need a lot of quietness and I need to be rested to be able to focus and to write, which means that when I'm traveling, I cannot write. So touring and promoting is something that I want and I need to do for my books, but that take me out of the time that I need to write books.
Yes, it's like not the actual job you want to be doing, but it's something you, of course, on the other hand, want to be doing because you want to promote your books and you want them to have as many readers as possible, but at the same time, it's not like your actual job. This is your first time in Finland?
Yeah, it is.
So I know that you have a really tight schedule, so you probably don't have any chance to see the city. So do you think that you will be coming back sometime for a holiday?
Yeah, of course. When I landed yesterday, it was beautiful. There was sunshine, and from the plane I was seeing the sea and all the forest. I'm like, oh, next week I will come back. It's amazing. And then at night it was a bit freezing. I was like, oh, maybe next summer I will see. So
well,
but I definitely will be back.
We were just talking about the Finnish summer, that you never know about the Finnish summer. Sometimes it can be really nice, but sometimes you actually can have the snow.
But I'll be back for sure.
Your books are in a way international, even though you live in Switzerland or have been born in Switzerland, Geneva. You write about USA and US people. Well, how did you choose that, and what is your relationship with the American literature tradition?
Yeah, I don't know if I come from the American literature tradition, because as a French-speaking person, I basically come from the French literature. And my very first books, because there's a lot of books before those one that get refused by all the publishing houses I send them to, were very French literature genre, and which means that it was very centered about myself. You know, in France they like to talk a lot about themselves and their life, which is not always very interesting. And at some point I decided I wanted to do something that will be really not my own life, and that I wanted to create distance between the author, and the I in the novel. And it happened that I spent a lot of time in the United States because I have cousins living there, and I've spent all my summers over there, and I spent a lot of time doing my whole life in the States. And I decided to give it a try and to try to set the I in the States, because I thought I will be able to describe the United States in a way that people would believe it and that could come from someone from the inside. And on the other hand, it was allowing me to create a bit of distance between I, Joel, the author, and the I of the book. And that was the main reason.
You said that you wanted to have some distance between yourself as a person and then the person in the book, the I character in the books. But, well, about the line between truth and fiction, do you find that sometimes it's a bit hard for the readers to understand? Of course, you know that you are your own person and then there is Markus Goldman and you are totally different persons. But do you sometimes feel that readers tend to think that there is a lot of connection between you and the main character of your books?
But you know, I'm an author, but most of all I'm a reader. And as an author, when someone is like, "But are you your own character in the book?" I'm like, enough, I'm not in the book. But as a reader, when I read a book, I cannot help but do connection between the author and the protagonist in the book. So I'm doing that myself, and I think it's something very that we all do.
Yeah.
And so it's. There is no link between the I, Joel, and the characters in the book, but on the other hand, all the time as a reader I'm doing those things, so I get it, I understand it.
And of course, well, I think that you also share this experience that even though you are not the character in your books, then at the same time you are all the characters in your books.
Absolutely.
So of course there is something of you in the books because everything you write in the books goes through yourself. Mm-hmm. But in the Harry Gebert affair, you describe the difficulties of a writer who is facing when he has written his first novel and it had become a huge international success, and then he has a lot of difficulties writing the second novel. Did you ever feel like when the Harry Gebert affair became such an international success that, oh dear, I wrote my own future into the book?
No, I don't think so, because it's always easy to make a prediction afterwards. So I would say no, and I would say so. It's a very different thing, because in the book, the protagonist Markus Goldman writes. I mean, his first novel is a big success, which comes a bit from nowhere, if I can say so. As in my case, the success came after 6 books and 10 years of hard work, which is a lot and also not a lot in this world, because there's a lot of people that wrote for a lifetime and that didn't get that success. So I'm very lucky, and it came very young, which I'm aware of. But what I mean is, after the successes, or when the success came, I was doing something that I kind of knew how was working. It was not something coming from nowhere. It was not a one-shot, and which helped me a lot, because I was like, okay, you got the success, it's great, but first of all, it can be a success, a one-shot success, and you maybe had the most successful book of your life, and that's it. So I need to be aware of that. And also, like, okay, but so you just need to do what you've always been doing with all those books, which is a routine, which is, as we say in French, a savoir-faire, art craft that by the time you get and you know how to deal with.
So do I understand correctly that you have been writing whole of your life, basically? So
that's the worst question that sometimes I wonder myself.
I'm sorry.
Don't worry, I'm going to tell you why. Because if I look backwards, I've been writing since I'm a kid, so it will make sense. But when I see how much work it is to write one book, it's so much work than to think that I'm going to write books for the rest of my life. I'm like, oh my God, it's too much. So I'm more into like taking one book after another and saying, okay, there's going to be one next book, and probably after this next book, there's going to be another one. But I need to go step by step, otherwise it's too difficult, I would say.
Yeah, the Baltimore tragedy of the Book of Baltimore is not a typical crime novel, or is it crime novel at all? It's a novel about crime. There is crime and death, but would you describe it as a crime novel, or do you care about this kind of genres at all?
No, I'm not sure it's a crime novel, and I will tell you why. Because first of all, I think that people that wants to read a crime novel are expecting something very specific that they won't find in this book. And I don't think it's a crime novel also because you can take away the kind of crime or drama in the book, as well as in the Harry Keber affair, you can take away the crime and you can have the girl just killed by, I don't know, by a truck or in an accident, and you still have the book working, which means that the crime is not the body corpse of the book. And I will say, if I'm not wrong, that in a crime novel, if you take the crime out of the book doesn't work anymore. So for those reasons, I would say it's not a crime novel. And when I wrote Harry Keber, and I was not expecting the success at all, for me it was not a crime novel, and it was published initially in France in a small publishing house that is absolutely not a crime novel specialized publishing house. And I started to wonder myself how to consider this gender when I had booksellers that came to me and say, oh, I love your book, I want to put it in the general literature department at the bookstore, but I have the people from the crime novel department that wants to have the book as well. And I guess that sometimes, and I like that sometimes you cannot give one specific gender to a book. As well as I will say that for a human being, you cannot say this guy is like this, because this guy sometimes is like that, and sometimes is like this, and it depends. We are a mix of a lot of stories. And a book itself, which is filled of people, of characters, of stories, I would say it's very difficult to put it in one gender only.
Yes, maybe your books, and maybe even all of the books, if you start to think about it, are in a way crossover, that they are not just one genre, and we as people are also we are all crossover people, I think.
I agree.
Because we all have a lot of different sides to us.
Yeah, I agree. I get also the fact that for booksellers or for a reader, sometimes you want to have some specific indication, as well as if I want to rent a movie and I'm going to try to search, do I want to watch something funny, or do I want to watch a drama or a biopic? So I mean that sometimes you also need those gender to help you as a reader, or to help the bookseller to have some guidelines to situate your book, as well as if you go to a restaurant and you order something but you don't know what it is, the waiter is going to say, yeah, this is a bit like meat, or this is a bit like that. So you need some kind of guidelines to help you, I get that.
Yeah, and then when the reader is hooked, then you can have basically anything inside the book.
Yeah, it's true, it's true. You also have this, you have to have a gender also maybe to give a direction, but it's only one direction beginning, and then it's true. When you get the readers with you, you can try a bit of everything, which is nice too.
But your book is about secrets. And secrets are, I think they are very important to keep the book kind of interesting, that you, even though it's not crime novel, you surprise your readers quite a lot during both these books I have read. You kind of turn the things around and around and around, and the reader never knows what to expect next.
Yeah, there's also a lot of secrets, but it's also to get the difference between the characters, that sometimes they think they know someone and they don't, which is something that we all experience even every day when we have people that we almost live with. I mean, like colleagues at the office, for instance, that we're sharing a desk with. It's been maybe 15 or 20 years that we're in the same office with the same person, and all of a sudden we realize that we don't know this person, and that's something that is very striking to me. And it can be also the case for people that we are very close to, like parents or relatives, that we think we know, and sometimes we don't really know, or we think we knew, or because we wanted to think they're this kind of person, we try not to see the bad sides. But in the end, I'm not sure there is bad sides. There is only sides, and we people are made of different aspects, sides, asperities that makes us one unique person, and people need to accept us the way we are.
And I think that this book, it's about two families, or well, one family, but like two different sides of the families. And one of the families is very successful, and the other one is not so successful. And then there's the main character, Markus, who he wants to be actually part of the successful family, but he is a part of the other family.
Yeah.
And I think that this question about success and also about loss, because I think that the people in the books, when you first think that, okay, this is the man who has it all, or this is the family that has it all, and then when you read onwards, you realize that, okay, this is actually not the case. So is this something that interests you as a writer?
Yeah, I think it's something that is very present today. And we live in a society that is completely ruled by, for instance, the social network, Facebook or Instagram, where we spend a lot of time every day trying to show people some, I would say, fake side of us. And I would say fake because if we're posting a picture of ourselves on Facebook, for instance, we're going to try to look on the 20 pictures that we just did, and we're going to try to pick the one where we look the best. And maybe we're going to add some filter on it. And maybe we're going to put more picture of us when we're on vacation, on the beach, for instance, or when it's a sunny day on a terrace. And we're not going to put pictures when it's a dark day, or we're in a bad mood, or we're at home, like a bit sick and a bit bluesy. So we're trying to create a very different image from what we are, because we are this combination of moods, of being happy and being not, of being beautiful and being not, of being on vacation and being not. And we should be truthful to who we are, but we're not, because there's this pressure of showing off. And it's very interesting to make comparison between what people are trying to show and what we are in the end. And that leads to the question a bit in the book so in the book it's a lot about the appearance and how people look and what they want to show. And do you have money or do you have not? Which is in terms of Facebook, do you have likes or do you have not? If we want to make a comparison. But in the end, the question is, who are you when you're alone in your bathroom looking at yourself in the mirror? Are you happy? Are you being loved? Are you getting love from the other? Or who cares in the end of your life when you're going to look backwards to your life and to what you achieved, if you have a lot of likes or a lot of money or a big car or not? You're going to look at what did I do, who did I love, and who are the people that love me. Sorry, and I think that more than that, I spit on here, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that more than that, it's not very relevant. And all to say that, so those two family are showing those different sides. And the success in the book is not really, it's not only about the success or getting the success from a book or a job, but more trying to have the attention of the people.
Yeah, Saul buys his name to a stadium with big money because he wants to show himself in a way that's very typical in American culture, not so typical in European culture, I would say, but it tells a lot. This smallish detail tells quite a lot about him.
Yeah, absolutely. When you're trying to overthink and to overdo because you want to exist. But the only way to exist is to exist by yourself, or it's to exist through the people you care about, and not trying to exist more than the other just because you need the people to see you and to show you, or to look at you. I mean,
how do you feel to be looked at as a writer? Now you are touring, and your books have been translated in many languages. Do you enjoy being like this kind of center of events like you are now, or would you like to hide and just write?
No, I have to be honest, I really enjoy the fact that people read my work, and that's something very important to me. And I'm very lucky to have readers, because I always wanted to be able to share my stories with people. And I know what it is to have books that no one wants to read. And I remember begging even my friends or parents to try to read my first books, but I don't have the time, it's too heavy. And so I remember that. So I'm very happy and I'm very honored, and I know how lucky I am today to have the readers. And that's something amazing. But you also need to be very careful about that, because success can last for a very short amount of time, and I need to be aware of that. And I need to be aware that what I'm experiencing now might not be last forever. And that's part of the game also. So I need to remember that I need to enjoy this moment, and I need to try to make it worth for me. And I would say that I'm also very lucky to travel a lot for my book. And when I travel, it means that my book is not published or about to be published yet, which means that where I travel, I'm absolutely not famous at all. No one knows me. And that's a good thing too, because it helps me remember, even though I don't really need that, but it makes me remember each time that there's always a place where no one knows you. There's always someone that is bigger than you are. And that's, in the end, it's not very important to know if you're known or not known. It's more about, the only thing that I really enjoy about the success, it's having readers. That's something amazing. Being here today, 2,000 kilometers from home, and being with you in Finland, it's something really, really amazing.
What about the work with the translators? I have to say that Kira has translated your book very, very well. I'm afraid that you can't understand the word, but how does it feel to read your books in different languages?
Yeah, it's a great feeling. And the most important thing to remember is sometimes people ask me, but you know, it must be weird because you cannot read, so you're not sure of if it's good or not good the way it was translated. But the thing is, I'm happy to be translated because I'm happy to know that my books can be read in Finland or in Denmark or in China, and that's something great. And the translation, it's something that you trust because you're agreeing to have a publisher in Finland, for instance, because you trust this person on this team and that you know that it's going to be a good job. And it's only about trust. But I've been very happy to see that the reaction globally are always quite the same. What I mean is I realized that the words are the words, and of course a word in French is not the word than in Finnish or in Spanish. But what's behind the words? I mean the message that I'm trying to give my readers through my books. I'm very happy to see that everywhere I'm going to, people have the same reaction about the message I wanted to say in French, and that is got in Finnish or in Spain or in Spanish. So that's for me a good way to measure that the translation was well made. It's the fact that the message behind the words is still there.
I'm going to steal that. You put it so well.
You can always say that, like my close personal friend Joel once said. So, what is your writing process like? When you start to write, do you know what's going to happen, or do you just go with the flow and then surprise yourself?
Yeah, no, I never know what is going to happen in the book. That's why I'm reading the book, because I want to know. And as well as when I'm reading a book, if I know the end, or if the end is spoiled, I'm not like, I should not read this book, I know the end already. And it's quite the same. I enjoy the fact that I don't know where I'm going to, and it's a very funny and a very challenging way to work. It also means that it's a very long process. I'm not very fast, and I need a lot of time to write. But I like the fact that you can go anywhere because there is no limits. Where I feel like if I was working with a plan, for instance, and I would say, okay, this is the beginning, the middle, the end, I will feel a bit like going from a place to another, following my GPS. That will say, okay, go there, and do that. And that will deprive me from trying another road that will give me another scenery or another view. And that's something very important for me, to feel free enough and to have no plan, to feel free enough to try everything.
So you have to lose your way during the process, in a way, to find the right words.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's, as we say in French, is as soon as you get lost, that you can find your way. And that's something very important. It also means that I need to cut half of the book because I'm going in many directions, sometimes too far, and then I need to come back to something more precise and more right. But as soon also as an author, I would say that you realize that everything that you take out of the book, because in the beginning, my first books, when I was realizing that there were those 50 or 100 pages that were not okay, and I had to take those pages out of the book, I was like, oh my God, all this time wasted. And it was a terrible feeling. And then I realized that because of those 100 pages that I'm going to take out of the book, I found my way. So it was not time wasted anymore. It was pages that I had to write to find a way and to go in the direction I'm going now. You
had to write them to know that you don't need them.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, a very, very important part of the process.
So when you were writing your newest novel, was it so that you didn't know actually that Markus Goldman would be a part of the book?
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I tried without, and then I realized that I wanted to talk about him again, and it came with the flow.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, but I think I will not be able to work with a plan, and that's the reason why I studied law in Geneva, and because at high school we had a literature class where we had to give our opinion on a book, but we had to follow a plan. Yes. And the teacher was, okay, so you have to be the introduction, development, and the conclusion, of the whole. And I was like, no, I don't want to do like this. Why? Why would I do it? Why would I do this? Because in the introduction, I'm supposed to say what I'm going to say. Then I need to develop by saying what I just said I was about to say.
Yes.
And then the conclusion needs to summarize what I just said that I said I was about to say. So I was refusing to do that, and I had very bad grades. So this is why I didn't choose literature at the university in Geneva, because I was like, it's going to be a disaster.
Yes. Well, our time is almost up. I just thought that if it doesn't work out for you with the fiction, I'm sure it does work out for you with the fiction, but just yesterday evening it came to me that if you wanted to write some self-help books, that would also... I have actually 2 perfect titles for you already. Because I know that you have been a drummer in a band,
yeah.
And then you have also studied law.
Absolutely.
Then you could actually write a self-help book called Drum in the Name of Law. I'm so proud of this. And then the second one is called Pasta for Breakfast. How to stay fit and write great novels. Because I learned that you like to eat pasta for breakfast.
It's true. So yeah. I have to say that I wake up quite early in the morning, around like 4:30 in the morning, and that to avoid having cravings during the day, I eat a very large bowl of pasta at 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, with roast chicken on it. So it's true.
Yeah, pasta for breakfast. I would read that. I would buy that.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you. Thank you, Salla.
Thank you.